All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Ole Miss After Dark. I'm joined here by a very special guest. This is my main man, friend for many, many years. I don't even really know how to calculate how long me and you have known each other, Brian, but this is my man, Brian Baldwin, co-host of the Miss 98 Scoreboard Show. Buddy, I appreciate you joining me. Appreciate you doing this. I thought this would be a nice change of pace for our listeners. You know, you doing high school football and stuff like that. We get a lot of our listeners from North Mississippi. That's what the Scoreboard Show is all about too. So I thought this would be a nice little change up for everybody.
Absolutely, my man. I really appreciate you having me. To answer your question, 2004. That's when we became friends. Yeah, 2004. You were still in high school.
Oh,
I was young in college.
Junior year, actually.
Doing my best to flunk out at Itawamba Community College. Doing a great job of that before I transferred to Ole Miss. And that's when we became friends. We used to hang out at your place in Enville, the cabin, as it's affectionately known. It'll always be the cabin. Right. You can build the Sears Tower or some kind of crazy palace out there, and it's still going to be the cabin. But we've been friends that long. Yeah. And thanks for letting me be on the show. It's a cool thing to be able to cover high school sports in our area. As you know, the two things that make the world go round in Mississippi are the good Lord above and high school football. You know, that's kind of what's going on here, and it's high school football season. So we're proud to talk about it and dive into it a little bit with you today.
Yeah, and on top of football and the good Lord above, I'm going to throw in a good cold beer after mowing the yard too. That makes yard go the world go round too. So that's
while you're mowing the yard.
Well, absolutely. While I'm mowing the yard for sure.
I think
that's absolutely a clutch starter.
A good cold beer goes with anything.
Man, 20 years. That's wild. I'm sitting here doing that when you said 2004. So, man, that's been 2 decades now. Kind of feels like every bit of it, quite frankly.
I know, right? I mean, like literally, you know, the phrase is the days are long, but the weeks are short. You know, and I look back yesterday, and we were tailgating. At some obscure spot off campus to get away from the crowd. You know, we were bouncing around from law building to physical acoustic building, you know, behind the baseball field, anywhere where the cops and campus security couldn't find us. And here we are now 20 years later. And, man, you're talking about the thing you love in Ole Miss sports, and especially, you know, football, baseball, basketball, you know, the things that, you know, that we've always attended. And, you know, and I'm still in that high school sports scene. You know, I was a high school basketball coach for a while. My dad was one for 35 years, you know, and just being around. Yeah, he did. Absolutely. You needed a bucket, you hollered at David Baldwin. But, you know,
that's right.
And now just being on the radio and talking about Friday night football, you know, which is kind of the lifeblood of high school athletics. It pays the bills for those schools. You know, it covers a lot of budgets for some of these small county schools that we cover. And it's a real treat to go to little places like Biggersville, Thrasher, Coffeeville, West Lowndes, to go along with Tupelo with the Smurf turf, you know, and Pontotoc and all those things. Man, there's nothing cooler than going to Springville, Mississippi on a Friday night. You know, it's they may not win every game, but man, everybody there shakes your hand, they look you in the eye, they tell you they're glad to see you, you know, and they just do it different, you know, and that's what I found with all these schools is every school does it different, much like the colleges that we've all rooted for or gone to games at. Every school has its own niche, and being a part of that fabric with the Miss 98 Scoreboard Show is really, really interesting and fun and unique.
Yeah. It's a lot like the college level, you know, just you explaining that the football kind of drives all of these programs, right? All these high schools, right? Because look, let's be honest, with all the money going around in college football right now, that's what drives all these athletic departments.
Right.
It's the same way in high school, right? So let's dive into that a little bit. First of all, tell me how you got started being the co-host of the Miss 98 Scoreboard Show. Where did this all come from? And you've been doing this 6 years now. Did you ever envision yourself picking this up and it lasting as long as it has so far?
Well, man, not necessarily. So, funny thing, when I got out of coaching, I had a morning radio show, sports show with another friend of mine in this area, McKinley Holland, who's a soccer and assistant baseball coach at Tupelo. And we were on an early morning drive time show, and it was fun. It was on a national station, you know, with 4 letters, and everybody's real famous and knows all about that station and channel. But that company did not pay their royalty dues and things they had to pay to that mothership. and that got shut down. And then I started a podcast with McKinley years ago, and the only reason we started the podcast is we wanted to get on the radio again and really to talk about sports and primarily high school sports. And man, we had our podcast and we were rocking along. And then in 2018, a good friend of mine, Adam Gore, who was on the radio show, he said, "Hey man, I need a little bit of fresh blood. I need somebody to come in and kind of shake it up a little bit with a little bit of a different energy and vibe, and kind of let's get a little life in the Scoreboard Show that gets tons of listeners. Are you interested?" And like before he could get, "Are you it, man?" We were high-fiving and saying, "Yes, we're in." So McKinley and I got on there in 2016, and we rocked along through the COVID era and did all that stuff. And then in 2022, McKinley and Adam had been doing it now for about a dozen years. And then McKinley got married, had twins, so he was busy. And then I reached out to two good friends of mine and good friends of yours as well. Will Ruff, who was a sports writer for the Pontotoc Progress and just a local athlete, kind of in the know, reader of many newspapers and articles. So he was up to speed on everything. And then Andy Burleson, a local guy who works in the banking industry, is a good friend of mine. We met through pickleball, but he's kind of in the know. He's like us, 15 years younger, you know what I mean? Or me 15 years younger. I'm older than you, but like, he's in socialite. He works at the bank. He's in the know, and he's a private school guy. And, in our area, we're really big in the public school. We know all about Tupelo and Amory and Saltillo, but man, we don't know about Marshall Academy, and we don't know about Clarksdale Lee. And, all we really know about is Jackson Prep and MRA down in that area. But, there's a lot of schools in our area from Oak Hill to the Delta Streets Academy in Greenwood who just need a little bit of publicity and people to talk about it because, their stadium's not as big. The players aren't as large. There's not as many standing on the sidelines, but man, they work just as hard. Their coaches give up just as much time away from their own families to take care of these kids, and shining a spotlight on them over the last 6 years has been cool. And now, we've grown. I would say I can't speak the exact numbers, but we're the largest and best, post-game radio show on Friday nights, and especially in North Mississippi. And it's to be able to reach 1 million people with our antenna and our wattage is a big deal to us. So whether you're driving in DeSoto County, over in the Delta, just down to Sullivan, Alabama, as far south down south as Holmes County, up to Selmer, Tennessee, man, you can hear us on Miss 98. And it's a lot of fun. It's cool to go to a gas station on a Saturday or the coffee shop and pay with my debit card, and they look at the name, they go, "Oh, hey, you're on the Scoreboard Show." It's me. Yeah. So, but it's fun, and it's really cool to be able to do it with a strong brand like Miss 98 and do it with two good friends of mine. And few folks know the details like Will Ruff.
That's right. That's right. That's the weatherman more than anything, right? Like when you get to a spot, like he's going to let you know what the cumulus clouds are doing and how the high and low fronts are meeting each other. And
dude, if Nimbo Stratus clouds are coming in, we're taking cover, and that's because of Will Ruff. For sure.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Will's a good dude though. Just an unbelievable center linebacker for the North Pontotoc Vikings back in the day, right? Pulling double duty back there, just chop blocking the fire out of fools back there with the 195 pound frame playing center against the Corinths and Holly Springs and Ripley's and all them,
I'll say something about Will. And Will, about like a lot of other people our age, he came along about 15 to 20 years too early. And what I mean by that is like, he was a lineman. He was kind of, typecast as this kind of position. And back then in our area, if you didn't go play Division I football or go to a Division II school, you went junior college, and then you might have got lost in the shuffle. But now there are so many more avenues for people to get seen, and there are so many NAIA and Division III and like opportunities for people to go and play. Like a guy like Will would have been a really good player at a place like that. You know what I mean? And I'm glad he didn't, because now he's on the Scoreboard Show, and knowing Will, he'd have gone to some university, gotten their medical program, and either cured or invented some kind of disease. I don't know, knowing Will, but he's the kind of guy. It's good to have him on our show because in football speak, he knows the things I don't. You know what I mean? I can tell you right now that so-and-so is going to have a good running back, and this team's got a good quarterback. And, and then if you want to go find the best fish house, you go here. If you need a good gas station to stop at, you go over here. Will's literally going to look out there and go, oh, they're in a cover 2 shell. They should do this here. Or, they're in a prevent. And I'm just going to be going, oh, okay, cool. So, he's able to do those things that, Andy and I, while we both know football, strategically can't look at it and go, okay, they're taking this, they're giving this. And Will's a really good person for that.
Yeah. Like I said, it really is a good mix of people that really know the game like Will does, and then you and Andy that do know the game, just not quite to that level, just sitting there watching it, seeing what the players are doing, what they're lined up in, stuff like that, and being able to talk about it on top of that.
For sure. And I can tell you, man, that look, when I go to Bruce, their band's going to really kick ass. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? And I know that when I go to Shannon, Ken Tops is the coach there. And Ken Tops was an all-state quarterback when I was in high school. And I'm pretty sure they're going to be throwing that thing around the yard. But Will's going to know exactly who's throwing it. He's going to know why they're throwing it, where they're throwing it. So, and Andy, he's as consistent as the sun up and sun down. You know what I mean? He's got a great attitude. There's never a road trip we can't go on that he's not willing to hop in the car and go. And, Andy, while being a really smart guy and knowledgeable about the sport, he's able to explain it like in layman's terms. You know what I mean? He's just, hey, this is why they did this. Hey, when I looked up there and I saw the line was this offensive line was killing the other line. And that's what we all see. But he's able to point out, and then Will jumps in, well, here's why. So, it works well for us. Yeah. And, this is going to be year 3. And, I've been fortunate to co-host it with some really awesome guys. And Will and Andy have been able to continue that with me.
Yeah. So y'all are entering year 4. Is that right? Or is this year 3?
I think we are entering year 3 together. Yeah.
You're entering year 3. Okay. So won't you go ahead and let everybody know? The Tenacious 3. Okay. There you go. Big season then. Big season.
Yeah, big season.
They're back together again.
Yeah. Fa-la-la-la-la, for sure.
Yeah. All right. So why don't you go ahead and let everybody know where y'all are going ahead and kicking off y'all's season at tomorrow night on Friday. Y'all had a Twitter poll up for the last 2 or 3 weeks, whatever it was, for people to vote on. Go ahead and let everybody know where y'all are going to be traveling to see the game on Friday.
For sure. Well, we appreciate you mentioning our Twitter poll. You can find us at MS98scores on Twitter, or X as it's now known. But this week 1 for the MHSAA, the public school slate kicks off. So that's when we start the show this Friday night. But this Friday, we're going down to West Point. We're going to go watch West Point play Louisville. So it's an interesting year for West Point. And, as you know, Golden Triangle team was strong Mississippi State ties. But Coach Chris Chambliss, longtime legendary coach, retired. And they have somebody new there this year. I have to always look up names. I'm too busy remembering players and all that stuff to get all the coaches. I'll figure that out week 2. But it'll be interesting to go there because they are one of the best teams in the state every year for the last 30 years. They're playing Louisville, also one of the best teams in the state for the last 30 years. From the days when Bobby Hall was there, 40 years ago, they've been winning state championships. So it's the premier game in North Mississippi this week, and we're going. It's exciting to be able to be in that environment week 1. There are no cupcakes on West Point's schedule, and Louisville for that matter. And an interesting thing about the Golden Triangle, very few bad teams. Very few bad teams. So when they play, it's a big deal. From Starkville to West Point to Louisville, and then you got down to even fringe area like Noxubee. Over to even in the smaller schools. West Lowndes is a power. Columbus, while their football program usually finishes about 500, there's D1 athletes all over the place. New Hope from time to time has got a stud over there. Caledonia, up and coming program as that area grows. And then our guy down at Hamilton. They're good. Dallas Flippo, he's not the football coach, but I went with him last year to a game, and he was just showing me, Wade Tackett's the coach there. Wade Tackett and them at Hamilton, they got everything going. So in the Golden Triangle, it's an interesting area, and we're glad to go down there this year. But most of my focus is north of Highway 82. The red and blue things going on in Oxford, and there's a lot of things headed that way. There's a lot of really good players in the area, and we hope to see them. And it's going to start this week on Friday night in West Point.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I totally get, kind of like I said, the Golden Triangle, all those big programs down there, West Point, Starkville, always producing all these players. But you're wrong about one thing. You did not find the premier game. I was begging and pleading. I was voting as many times as I could to get you to South Hill of Mississippi
My
or South
bad.
Hill and New Albany on Friday. And it's not because of the football game. I had a show lined up for you, okay? Jeannie Grace Vandegrift is going to do the most ridiculous cheer routine you have ever seen in your entire life pregame. That should have been enough to get y'all on campus right there.
Well, I'll be real. You're right. But the people spoke. We had about 75,000 votes on our Twitter poll, and it was a tight race. And enough of our guys just didn't vote. This is what it is.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm actually probably the only one that voted for South Hill and New Albany over West Point, Louisville, right?
It was West Point, Louisville, and then you were battling Oxford, Lafayette in the Crosstown Classic. Yeah. So but we'll be in South Hill soon enough. But you know us, our games usually follow the matchup and the Fish House.
That's right.
One of the premier eateries in North Mississippi down in West Point is Anthony's Cafe. And I haven't been there in a while, and it just lines up just well for us to go down there, get a good meal at Anthony's, watch some of the game, come back and kick the show off at about 9:30 Friday night.
Yeah. So kind of transitioning there to Fish House Friday. Y'all always pick out a Fish House every time y'all go to a site every single Friday night. What so far has been your favorite Fish House? Is there one you can point out, or maybe there's a couple that you would like to suggest to people?
Yeah. So like best places that I've kind of been, we all know about the traditional steakhouses, Como, Marshall's good too, but like they're not your traditional fish houses. You might be able to get fish there, but they're just steakhouses. But a fish house, you can get fried fish, you can get a steak, you can get a hamburger steak, you can get quail, you can get a salad bar, like all those things. So some of the better ones in the area.
Gotta have a salad bar to be a fish house.
Got to have a salad bar to be a fish house, and it's got to have multiple options. We need black olives, we need several types of lettuce. I don't eat any of that, but it's got to have it.
I don't eat the black olives, but
no. I would like for the fish house to bring me hush puppies, as an appetizer on the table, kind of like But the best ones up in Baldwin, Simmer Down is really good. It's they got a steak for two, 4 sides, you and your partner, and you get a salad to go with that. And then over in Aberdeen, Friendship House.
The Bunch Boys.
Really good. Yeah, that's right. The Bunch Boys. The Friendship House in Aberdeen is really good. And, my favorite and the one we compare them all to is on Highway 41, 41 Fish and Steak, a.k.a. Terry's, a.k.a. Steagall's, down in Troy, Mississippi. They're awesome. But we've been from everywhere, from Agnew's and Pratt's near Baldwin. We've been to Top of the World in Mickey, Tennessee. Man, we've everywhere. And this week it was hard. There's very few between Tupelo and West Point that are actually like fish houses. We decided we're just going to go ahead and do it and just kind of go a little bit more white tablecloth this week and go with Anthony's. But it's a really fun thing because when we choose our game, every small town has a fish house. Coffee's in West Union. Algoma has Seafood Junction. Everywhere has one. And that's just kind of a fun thing we do. And we get back on the radio at that night about 11 o'clock before we start talking about Ole Miss and State's game and betting lines and fun things like that. We always rate the fish house. We give them their propers and their daps. And we always talk about it and shine some light on them because as soon as I say, hey, we're from the Miss 98 Scoreboard Show, man, they light up. They listen to us. And we like to talk about them because most of these places, they are not taking out radio ads. You're not going to see them, on a billboard. They have a Facebook page because it's free, and they're sponsoring some high school football team sign on a fence. That's these kind of places, and we like to shine a light on them.
Yeah.
Nate's in Eckerud is great. Nate's is good. We go to North Pontotoc. We go to Nate's, so make sure you go to Nate's.
Yeah. Y'all are kind of the North Mississippi version of the of Dave Portnoy's pizza reviews, right? You just go different places, try it out, give them a good review, and then shout it out over the airwaves. So,
for sure, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I take way more than one bite. Like,
Well, yeah, obvious.
I
Well,
mean,
he does too. He takes like 4 in one video. It
yeah,
doesn't
but
even
I'm
make
like,
sense.
I'm from the Clean Your Plate Club generation, in case you couldn't tell.
That's right.
I mean, there are
Yeah.
kids starving in China, but it's not going to be because I left some chicken or some kind of steak or some kind of fish on my plate.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you ain't from the North, maybe, so you ain't
I'm
gonna
not.
be doing all that.
I'm from the good
You ain't gonna
old
be doing all that.
South. Yeah, for
That's
sure.
right. All right. Well, to wrap this thing up, why don't you give us your thoughts on the Rebels? You go around, you watch a lot of high school football, or there's some prospects you're looking at, or maybe
Right.
just what your thoughts are on the team. This is an Ole Miss show, so we'll give them at least a little bit of a taste here to end the show on the Ole Miss Rebels.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I'm really excited about Coach Kiffin. He brings a life to the program that extends to the city. When football season's good, Oxford's doing well. When Oxford's doing well, North Mississippi's doing well. When North Mississippi's doing well, the state's doing well. It's going to be a good year. A top 10 team, no doubt. We're deeper than we've ever been. We can play up front with anybody, just about, maybe outside of Georgia, but we'll see that soon enough. But what I'm really worried about, and this is, man, I know we're talented behind Jackson Dart. You know what I mean? But, man, he runs. He's a competitor, a la Chad Kelly. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He will dive rather than slide. And I think we go as he goes. If he's upright all year and able to play to his maximum capacity as he can play, man, I'm really being honest. I don't know if there's anybody that can beat us over 4 quarters. That's just for real. Teams are going to have to play their best game to beat Ole Miss every week. It's not going to be like it used to be, where Alabama could run the same damn toss play 11 straight times and go down the field and score. Can't do that anymore to us. And I'm just really excited about what's going on. There's an excitement that it's just a buzz. And Ole Miss is everybody's second favorite team. Now, if you're an LSU fan or Mississippi State fan or an Alabama fan, I get it. You hate us all the time. But if you ask somebody at USC, hey, you like USC? What do you think about Ole Miss? Oh, man, I love Ole Miss. My nephew went to school there. Yes, somebody at Penn. I was at the bowl game. Tim, what do you think about Ole Miss? Oh, man, we love Ole Miss. We've heard it's just the best college town ever. We love Lynn, Tui. They're just talking about generalities. But Ole Miss is every person's second favorite team. And I think nationally, they want the Rebels to do well. Eyeballs tune into those games. They like to see Lane Kiffin. I'm excited about it. If I had to make a prediction, I never predict perfect because it's just too hard. It's just too hard. But I think we can escape the year with 1 loss, and that puts you right in the thick of the things for hosting a game in the playoff or whatever, however that works out. Like being the home team, I really think that's attainable and possible. You know what I mean? Like not even, maybe even probable. You know what I mean? Like, and look, you can't lose the last one. You know what I mean?
No, we're not going to lose the last one. That was not even.
I know, but I'm saying that's the one that worries me. Having been the son of a coach for a long time, when a former coach goes back to places, weird things happen. And I just hope we're healthy and take care of business. We're in the right spot, that a lot matters with that game. That's what I'm getting at. I need a lot to be riding on that for us. Because of the interest of the Rebels and how popular we are. I say we, I'm a Rebel fan. How popular the Rebel brand, the Ole Miss brand is nationally, regionally, and even locally. Like, there's a lot of players to keep your eye on this year. Some of these folks have committed to other schools. Some of these folks have even, not necessarily been on the hottest of Ole Miss radar. But I'll talk about a few that have committed, that we've kind of got our eye on up here. Some older ones, some younger ones. And then with the way that the late season recruiting and people flipping, and then people who will go to lower level Division I schools and jump up, but haven't committed anywhere, just kind of keep your eye on. Of course, we all know about Caleb Cunningham at Choctaw County, 5-star. He's awesome. Committed to Alabama. I will believe it when I see it. It's going to be really tough to stay committed there when we beat them, or we know when we are better than them. We don't play them this year. We don't, but it's just, they're going to change the way they play over there, I believe, a little bit. I think they're going to throw it around a little bit more. It's going to be attractive at Alabama. And I think it's going to be a place where a lot more wide receivers kind of try to go. And I think the power of Lane and the Rebels and what we do is going to attract Caleb Cunningham late. I just really believe that. Winona has an uncommitted linebacker, Tyler Lockhart, really good player, 6'3", 200 pounds, 4-star. position ranking in the top 20 in his class. Really good. Winona has been a power in 3A football recently, and I would expect him to continue that this year. Jacoby Hobson from Lake Cormorant. He's a really good player, committed to the Rebels, I do believe. And then some other players in our area that kind of you might not know about, but I really believe that there's some promise there in a certain spot. Elijah Lowry, West Point lineman, 6'5", 285. No real official commitment anywhere. But you look at a guy like him in a place like that, it's always intriguing. Mason Dunn, corner from Tupelo, Ole Miss commit. At Holly Springs, uncharacteristically, they have a D1 football athlete. A few years ago, they had one that ended up at Michigan, and now they've got a young man named Trey Kinkle, athlete, running back, really fast, state champion track star. Has a top 6 of Ole Miss, Nebraska, Florida State. So he's got some real offers out there. And then, there's guys that, we've all kind of, heard about in our area that are a little bit younger. Roman Womack, DeSoto Central kid up there near our guy, Ben Berry Hill, 6'6", 300 pounds, son of Pork Chop Womack. He's an intriguing prospect. He committed. Then Bryson Walters from Itawamba High School, nice size kid, Rebel committed linebacker. He's going to remind you, and I hate to say it like this because it's going to sound like I'm generalizing him due to skin color, but he's going to remind you of Jet Johnson. Really smart.
Okay.
Always knows where the football is. He's the kind of guy pointing out coverages defensively, leader on the field. And we haven't really had one of those since maybe
Give me a Jet Johnson right now.
Give it to me any day. And then, there's also some guys, that could flip later with improvement, like, a Cale Armstrong in Houston, interior offensive lineman, Jackson State commit, but he's from Houston. Who knows what happens this year? You know what I mean? Then, just other folks in the area that to keep your eye on. Tupelo's got a 6'3" wide receiver, Tyreek Darden, Division I prospect, Tupelo's number 1 option. If you're Tupelo's number 1 option, you're a D1 football player.
You can play.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, just some all-around football players. Brooks Sego, wide receiver, defensive back, all-around athlete at Biggersville, 10 interceptions last year. State champion, really good player, kind of kid, Ole Miss, somebody we need to take a chance on. And then in the 2026 class, a little younger than this year's senior class, big kid, Jarayla McCoy, 6'6", 245-pound defensive lineman from Tupelo. Really, really good player. I've seen him on the sideline. I've seen him in the Walmart. He's big everywhere. I would keep an eye on him. And then a few others that are just kind of uncommitted, not necessarily a state lean or an Ole Miss lean, but some just them out there. Tylen Matthews and D.D. Daniels, both from Lake Cormorant, defensive backs. One's a safety, one's a corner. Both go to school with the Hobson kid. So, they're familiar with the staff. They see those folks pretty often. Emmanuel Tucker, 6'6", 300-pound lineman from New Albany. The thing about New Albany, our good friend Cody Stubblefield's the head coach.
That's right.
He's well coached. He's well taught. He understands the modern nuances of the game. And the reason I like to bring him up is because Cody is about as fair as they come. He's not. He's where's the best place for my kid? And it's good to have a kid like that there. And then of course Grenada's got Zayon Cotton, 6'5" wide receiver. You just don't grow 6'5" wide receivers all the time. So I'm sure he's on the radar. And two guys to keep an eye on as I wrap it up here. Braylon Williams. So Braylon Williams is one of the best dual threat quarterbacks in the state, but he went to Nettleton up until this year. He's going to be a junior. Nettleton had a coaching change, so he has transferred to Tupelo. So now Braylon Williams is at Tupelo. I would think he'll play if he gets eligible. Right now, there's some eligibility issues due to the move, but if he gets eligible, he'll be one of those all-around athletes, plays all over the field. And then I would think next year he'll be the starter at quarterback because Tupelo had a 3-star quarterback transfer in from Boonville. So this tells you how Tupelo is going to be this year. And last but not least, I am a former coach's son. My dad was a longtime basketball coach, so I am partial to guys who can hoop. And the one I'm about to tell you about, not only can he hoop, he can really sling that pigskin. And it's Braden Shettles from New Albany, 6'3" quarterback, completed 125 out of about 200 passes last year, 2,200 yards, 24 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, ran for 3, shifty guy. He's the son of Scotty Shettles, the basketball coach at New Albany. Now, I've watched Braden playing some basketball games, good athlete, can be coached. Sometimes those coaches' kids are either way. Can they be coached? Can they be coached tough? He can. He's a good kid, and I've seen him get up there and punch a basketball and dunk it. He's athletic enough. I'm looking forward to seeing what New Albany does with a D1 lineman and a D1 level quarterback. They've always got a good running back there. You had a nephew who played New Albany. They got good players.
Sure did.
And it'll be interesting to see how some of these guys develop in the 2026 class, because regionally they're close to Ole Miss. They have Ole Miss ties or something of another. You know what I mean? Or they're uncommitted. So that's a good list of people. And I think with the Ole Miss brand, I think a lot of these guys have a chance to end up in Oxford.
Yeah. Look, man, that's a hell of a list you put together for us, man. Definitely get some names that Ole Miss fans need to keep an eye on, and just overall high school fans, right? High school football fans. It's a big deal in this part of the country, especially here in North Mississippi. So, y'all go keep your eye out on all of those guys that Brian just mentioned. Just gave you a really good rundown. And let everybody know what time and where they can find your show on Friday night, Brian.
Absolutely. So you can find us on Miss 98 here in North Mississippi, which is 97.5 on your dial in the Tupelo area. 1,000,000 watt, however you want to pronounce it, antenna. Get everybody taken care of. You can also stream us on miss98.com. We have an app, MS98. You can follow us at MS98 Scores on Twitter, and follow us on Facebook.
Yeah. Fantastic, man. Well, look, I'll probably call in sometime Friday night and let you know how Jeannie did with her cheer routine.
Sure.
That because I know everybody's going to be waiting with bated breath there, wondering how that went, since I brought it up earlier.
Before we get off here, I need you to call in on Fridays to be my Ole Miss guy.
Oh, you know what I mean? That's happening, man. I'm going to be on there every Friday night with you.
At about 10:50, we get a little weird with it, and we can talk about the Jeannie dance routine and stuff. And I like to talk gambling lines and whatever. I mean, it's an adult, it's a family show, but in this world, I mean, we gamble. We watch sports, we watch college football. So let's talk about that. Can I ask you one question before we get out of here? I need to ask you one question.
What you got?
And I've never asked you this, and we've been friends this 20 years. And why do you love Ole Miss? I mean, like, for real.
It's really easy.
I want to know.
You don't even have to elaborate on it. His name is Jackie Vandegrift. He is my father. We had season tickets for 29 years. He instilled the love for Ole Miss in me at a very young age, and he instilled it very, very deeply. He's very passionate about his Rebels, football, basketball, baseball. We did all of them, right? It didn't matter the game. And, back then you didn't get everything on TV. We were down in front of a radio, finding 95.3 or whatever it was on the FM radio to get the baseball game and some of the basketball game. Yeah. Hell, even some football games back then. You didn't get, but probably 5 televised games back then in the day. But, no, it's all about my dad. He's always been a huge Ole Miss fan. I grew up with it through him. He instilled it in me. I think maybe it got ingrained in me a little deeper than my brother, even though my brother does love Ole Miss.
He's a big fan.
He is. He's a big fan. But I think it might have gotten a little bit deeper into me than it did him. Just seeing how much passion, how much love he had for all the sports and school and everything. Always loved my dad. Always wanted to be like my dad. So once I saw that, I was all in with him on that. And so for the last 37 years, I've been all in on all of it.
Awesome. Well, you gave the answer I was expecting you to give and wanted you to give. I really think a lot of you and your brother and your dad and everybody that has the last name Vandegrift, who has had it, who does have it. So I appreciate all the time.
Good plan.
It's a good plan. I appreciate all the times I've spent with y'all enjoying Ole Miss Rebel sports. So let's keep it up and tell Jackie I said what's up the hill up there.
Well, actually, all you got to do is say, hey, he listens to it every day now. So every time one pops up, he's listening. So he's going to hear it, and I'm sure I will hear all about that rant I just had.
What's up, Jack Bone? I wanted him to give you your shout out. That's why we got that question.
That's right. Well, he got it. That's all it took. So, all right, Brian, I appreciate you, buddy. Kept you a little longer than I was expecting, but
all good.
Look, do this every week. You'll come on here. We'll talk about where y'all are going, what fish house y'all are going to, and maybe a little bit of the players y'all saw the previous week, whatever it may be. And then I'll call in as well on Friday night, so y'all can find me during the weird hours on Miss 98 on the Scoreboard Show.
Awesome. Sounds good. I'll have a trivia question for you next week. Get ready.
Okay. I'm just going to be winging it. So I won't be
you'll-
ready, but
you'll
I'll
be
answer
good.
it anyway.
You'll
I'll
be
answer
good.
it anyway. All right, buddy. Take it easy.
Thanks. Take care, buddy.